The original version of this video was uploaded to Jason Verney's YouTube channel, where it and many other videos, podcasts, snippets and films can be found. That channel can be found at youtube.com/Jason Verney. This episode's guest is Annie Ko, and we discuss the topic of the recent ban in South Korea of dog meat. And here is about 60 seconds of snippets as a tiny taster of what's coming up.
I didn't know anything about the industry whatsoever. I just, thought it was a translation job. Dog meat was quite popular after the Korean War for sure, because, that time, like everything got decimated and the country was literally so poor, even to the point where it was poorer than North Korea. Have a little, a little guts to go to these dog meat farms because it smells really horrible. Like a farm, like a dog meat farm, they have their own dog. They go into this business because they think they don't have a choice, and they think that this would earn them a lot of money. Just want a cute dog, then you go to shop and just, get the three week old dog and then just grow them till like when they're like 1 year old and they just throw them away. That's quite quite common, to be honest, and those dogs end up to a dog meat farm and then end up to dog meat restaurants. 앉아봐. 앉아봐. Do you see him?
Oh, look. Yeah, he doesn't care, but yes. This is the Not So Korean podcast. I am Jason Verney. As you probably know, we started this podcast back in 2021 and used to record this live in UK's Koreatown itself. That's an area in and around New Malden. Yes, that's the largest Koreatown and Korean community in Europe. These days, we bring you such episodes and therefore information and interviews from various places in the world, including Korea itself. This latest episode relates to South Korea's recent announcement that it will end the trade in dog meat, so essentially a ban on the production, sale and therefore the torture which leads to the consumption of dog meat. And the show consists of a full 1-hour interview with Annie Ko, member of the Seoul-based electric rock duo Love Exterior, and the proud owner or parent or adopter of their canine friend Deejay, who's an integral part of this story, as he's a dog rescued from one of the thousands of meat farms in South Korea. As a bit of background and backstory, in January 2024, South Korea finally passed a law which bans dog meat and therefore the capture, killing and supplying and selling of dogs to consumers for eating. And yes, we've a long way to go in this world until we end cruelty across the board to living animals and sentient beings, but this focuses on man's and woman's best friends, dogs. To find out even more on this subject, I would also point you in the direction of our previous episode, number 41, as it also gives more information, articles and even links to the full-length Nureongi documentary. I'm also leaving several links in this particular show's description, and some of these are mentioned during this interview. So, here is my interview with Annie Ko. Well, it's really good to see you again, Annie.
Nice to see you again.
Um, yeah, we've known each other for a decade or so, and we've had lots of sort of meetings in Seoul,
Mhm.
almost in the UK, which was quite ironic. But I'm basing just to, we're not going to be talking about your music today. It's going to be about your work with with the various societies or charities and perhaps film
Mhm.
regarding the recent ban on dog meat. And
Mhm.
yeah, and I'm going to just sort of preempt what I'm giving my questions based around, because that might give some help to you and also to anyone listening. Um,
Okay.
so, as I said, I've known you guys for a while, so I know your interests and some of your ethics, first of all.
Hmm.
And so um, I'm basing it on that. I'm also basing it on the fact that the recent announcement, obviously, about the banning of dog meat in Korea, South Korea, I should say. And the film, for any listeners out there, it's called Nureongi. Nureongi. Am I saying that?
Nurongi. Yeah, Nurongi. So it's
Yeah,
Nurongi, depending
Nureongi.
how you yeah pronounce it, but it's actually Nurongi, but Nureongi in Nurongi. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I should know. I know my Hangul, but sometimes I get confused with the G's and the G's.
Yeah.
Which is actually funny because well, it's not funny, it's terrible, but it's interesting that it's made by a guy who's connected to the series Friends.
Yes.
Uh, and I thought he could have called this another title, Man's Best Friend, if it was
Oh,
if it was more light-hearted, you know, but obviously it's a deep, deep subject. Um,
yeah.
I'm also basing on a couple other things, the recent Guardian article that you appeared in and featured in, interviewed, and the Humane Society video, which featured both you and Toby and Deejay. And
Yeah.
for anyone who doesn't know, Deejay, it will become clear who Deejay is in a second, because it's not a DJ. Um, but also, and actually in that, there's a song written by you which was relating to polar bears.
Yeah.
I already knew your, kind-heartedness, the two of you, and it wasn't. This is not a surprise to people that you got involved with it. Maybe
Hmm.
even your music over the years has touched on subjects which are important. So, as I say, although I've seen that video uh, on the Humane Society's channel, on YouTube channel, which I will put links for everybody. Um, what, I first of all, that was uploaded in 2021.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Now, now you might know what I'm going to ask, but you've had DJ a while, which
Oh,
means
yeah.
yeah. So you've been involved with it before you had DJ. So why was that Humane Society little documentary put online at such a later date? Was there a reason for it? Timed it in with something or?
I'm not really sure, but I think, I don't have any control of their content per se. And well, we have been friends for a long, long time, but I think that was the time when they wanted to promote more about, the situation within Korea itself. So it's not just for the foreign audience, but also they wanted to push a little bit more insight to the Korean public, and I think that's the reason why they chose that time. But I'm not 100% sure why it was filmed in 2022, to be really honest.
So yeah, you filmed it in that year, yeah? With the year it was
Yeah, 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 yeah.
because yeah. Okay, that makes sense. I wasn't sure if there was a delay. It might have been shown at some other presentation, then they just uploaded it later or something.
Maybe it had to do with COVID too. I'm not 100% sure.
Good point. And I'm aware of some of this, but I might get my facts wrong. And are you able just to give maybe a brief overview of how you got involved, first of all, with them, uh, with regards to your translation and that kind of thing?
Well, I have a mutual friend who was a photographer, he was a photographer for AP, and he did photography for their work at the dog meat farms, first of all, and well, he used to do our profile pics and stuff like that. So, one day through him they asked if he knew any driver with a car. And coincidentally, Toby just had a car at that time. And it was really rad because they just wanted a driver because apparently one of the HSA um uh person who was called his name's Adam, he was supposed to bring a little puppy from from like Chungcheongdo area to Seoul area. So we were kind of like, Toby was supposed to transport, from here to there. But, I just tagged along because we noticed that, Adam is American and probably, I could be useful. So I just tagged along. And apparently, Adam kind of liked how I, work, I guess, like, because I did translate everything for him between, Toby and Adam. So, afterwards I got a recommendation of, why don't you just come along to our trips to dog meat farm so you can just translate for us. And I wouldn't say it was like a volunteer work from the beginning because I was actually hired to work, but after about like I didn't know anything about the industry whatsoever. I just, thought it was a translation job, but apparently it was more in depth than I ever imagined. So I tagged along and saw, even when it was not, a popular conversation within the country, because like I believe, when I started working for them was like probably around 2013 or something. And it was pretty early on. So, even though there were conversations between activist groups for sure, but to the general public, nobody really knew that in depth of what was going on at that time. So yeah, that's how I got involved.
Okay, yeah, because I was thinking that because I've read two different things. Some I think might have been your words, and some from the HSA. They said something like Annie Co, the musician, was introduced to them for a rescue team in 2015, but
Yeah,
maybe back. Well, yeah,
yeah. I think it was earlier than 2015. I'm pretty sure.
yeah, because then it said you went to 2016, you went to Wonju on the ground in Wonju. And the reason I'm saying this is that's when you later got Deejay. But then I remember looking, I scrolled down your Instagram to 2015, which took a while. Um,
Yeah.
and I found there was a post when you were showing Deejay, and it was the end of 2015. So I was
Yeah.
like, oh, well, maybe they
I
had
think
it early.
Yeah, I think they got like I don't really care about the years, but
No,
I
no,
think
no.
yeah, I think we adopted DJ around tw like the end of 2015. Yeah.
And just one more thing about Wonju then. So Wonju, how did that come into it? Because I know you also went to other farms. You said
Yeah.
it took a long time and you opened your eyes like a lot.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Well, it doesn't really matter where we go, I guess, because there are like lots of dog meat farms all over the country. Even until
Wow.
to Yeah, but well, we were working at some dog meat farms around the Chungcheongdo area, and this farmer who was very eager to like introduce other farmers, he introduced one of the farmers who were in Wonju at that time. So yeah, it was a pretty huge farm because they had like over 100 dogs at that time, and yeah, it was like uh compared to Chungcheongdo areas that I've been, it was fairly better. I wouldn't say it was better, but like compared to, the farms that I've seen before, it was a little better. But I don't know, like,
Mm.
location didn't matter, to be
No,
honest.
I was just interested because originally I before I read about all the other farms you'd been to, I thought it was just Wonju, but then I realized, no, you had gone to all these other ones. It must have.
Yeah, I think the first farm they like closed, like the Humane Society International closed the first farm in probably Gyeonggi area, I think. And then they got introduced to Chungcheongdo, some farms over there, and then after that, Wonju, and then, it goes back and forth.
Okay. Yeah, because we must have got quite traumatic then, the more that you saw. Even if they were slightly better, well kept in some places, you're just seeing more and more different farms that had different quality of
Well, I wouldn't say it's
no?
too different. It's quite similar from one another. The
Oh,
only farm that I thought was like this is something different was one in the movie Nureongi,
mm,
because that was actually kind of like a promoted site from the dog meat association people. So they were trying to prove that their farms, like their illegal farms are, very well kept and like they are very, very clean. Dogs are getting trained and stuff like that. So that was the only farm that I thought, this is pretty, pretty weird, but quite different. But
Wow.
other than that, it becomes, it's very horrible anyways. And like some are really, really horrible.
Y-
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's what I could see from that, even watching that myself. It was quite, I know there's this comparison, which I also do probably have to mention, that what we do to dogs is no different to what we do to animals. So we've all seen terrible footage of slaughterhouses. I'm someone who used to be vegetarian and vegan. I'm not now. I'm, a bit of a flexitarian. But
Mhm.
when I have seen things about that, but when you do see something done to a dog and electrified in the mouth, or
Hmm.
what the parts that I saw in that film, it's pretty horrific because you just don't.
It is.
And like someone said, they're very loving creatures. I know pigs are as well, which reminds me of like Okja, in Korean film.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so it was quite hard hitting even for someone like me who I've seen a lot of stuff. Um, yeah, okay. Uh, okay, this is if you don't mind talking about this, you've mentioned it in the Humane Society video, but you have you have tasted dog meat before, like some Koreans and quite a few Koreans have.
Mhm.
But one thing I was wondering was because it's often two things from what I could gather is often it's the older generation
Mm.
who've grown up with that when they've got used to it and they're meant to be health benefits and all that. But also this summer thing, bok now. But I
Cool.
so when you experienced it, bear in mind you were also in another country for some of your life, for a few years in America. I wondered how that came. Was it a family gatherings or what was it that drew that you tasted it? What was it?
Well, for me, it was like pure like curiosity because like in my family and my like people around me when I was young, they didn't have that kind of like interest in dog meat at all. And I always, I was grown up like a I wanted to kind of like I'm a very when I was young, I hated discrimination against like guys and boys. And I see that all the time, like I was like born kind of like a tomboy. And I always refused anything that, are allowed for boys and like not allowed for girls. I was like, why? Like, I'm that kind of like I would fight right away. And
Yeah.
I had that kind of spirit. I guess up till today, but like when I grew up and like I moved to Seoul. I used to live in Pohang, so I moved to Seoul when I went to university, and now that I'm an adult, I should try stuff that I was prohibited to. So for me, like I was like, when the guys were like, "Do you let's go have some like dog meat or something," and I got like participate in going to a restaurant or something, immediately the lady or whoever serves us would, suspect that I would eat like samgyetang instead. You know what I mean? Because they usually have a substitute menu like samgyetang, which is a chicken soup. And they would provide that to people who come along but doesn't want to eat dog meat. You know what I mean? So like for me, it was like, why aren't you offering me dog meat? Kind of like that kind of, you know, why are
That,
you kind of like rebellious kind of thing? And I ended up eating it and I didn't really hate it. I thought it was, as soup goes, it was fine. So, whenever there was like what do you call it, the when I join a company or something, they would go eat like at like dog meat restaurants every like annually. I would say like I'd go, you know what I mean, like, and I had my meal once, at least once a year, I guess.
that's interesting. Yeah. So then the rebellious side of you said, no, I definitely want it if I'm not allowed it. So even
I know,
more.
I know. It's kind of ironic, but I didn't want to like hide the fact that I was interested in it. You know what I mean? Like I didn't want to, like make another facade of myself that oh, I didn't like dog meat. It's kind of not true. So
It,
yeah.
it it's like when people go to France and they might have horse, or they might have snails. They wouldn't do that in England. But it's a bit like if they were born and raised French and they had certain foods, but they went to a certain province that did something, you're going to try it because in Thailand, there's places that do all kinds of food, spiders and insects you wouldn't normally, but there's still a living being that you still want to try.
Yeah.
It's something that, yeah. Okay, I'm just going to jump a bit to different things, but um, one one thing is mentioned in the documentary, and I guess a lot of people know the reasons for dog meat. It's because of the poverty in Korea before, um, the occupations maybe, and before the war. Sorry, after the war. But I wonder if um, it influenced not only that there was dogs everywhere and they were easily available to eat, um, whether also it might date back to China time or even Japanese occupation time. Do you think is there any way of looking at where it stemmed from, or is it literally just Korea? It was desperation, do you think?
Uh, like for that, I think I'm not an expert, so I really can't say. But like it depends on who you ask, I think, because like, some like folk expert would say this way and like this other, professor would say the other way. So I really don't know, but I think there's a common knowledge of that dog meat was quite popular after the Korean War for sure because that time like everything got decimated and like the country was literally so poor even to the point where it was poorer than North Korea. So I can understand that at that time dog meat was kind of like a source of protein, which, I believe it's true and I think that knowledge is quite common.
Yeah. There's other stuff in the film that talks about medicinal things, but we can all say it's protein, it's meat.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and actually, one thing that was said in the film quite early was by the main character. Oh, what was her name? The main Korean American in Nureongi.
Oh, uh, Tammy.
Tammy, yes, Tammy. Yeah, I had it written down somewhere, but I was getting confused with a dog called Tommy because there's another story there. Um, but she said she didn't think anybody still eats meat, even
Yeah.
in Korea. And it reminded me of me. Or, sorry, it reminded me of what I say to people when they say, "Oh, why do you want to go to Korea? They eat dog there." And I'm always in Korea's defense. I'm always saying it's not like that. It's not like that. And I just want to because I don't want them thinking that. So I can understand how she probably would have reacted being over in America, grown up in America,
Mhm.
and yeah, it just connects to what we were saying just there.
Mhm.
Um, okay, I'm going to go on to another subject here. Oh yeah, so and talking about that particular film, Nurongi, which some of this my facts have come from. Um, did you have involvement with that? Were you like connecting point at all with any other people in it, or was it completely separate to anything you were doing?
Oh, you mean the process of like who we met
Um, uh,
in the movie?
Nurongi, yeah, no,
Yeah.
because you're not in the film, but I mean, were you involved with that film? Because that might be a
Oh,
tricky question, or like,
oh, well, I was the main translator for the
oh,
movie. Yeah.
so
Well,
that was the film.
yeah.
Okay,
Well, I got introduced, of course, by Humane Society International because, they were asking for a reference, to someone who can translate in between. And
that's
yeah, it's kind of like a very weird job because I understand why they hired me because not only I'm bilingual, but also you have to have a little, a little guts to go to these dog meat farms because, it smells really horrible. And if just a first timer who was a translator who were there and just like, ugh, everything, it'll be really hard for, for the process of making the movie. So I think
yeah.
they asked for a reference point from Humane Society International. I got introduced and then I was hired as a main translator.
That's what I was trying to see because when you said you were hired by them originally, I thought, wow, if they're Korean, I was trying to fit that. Then I thought, the film is then you got involved with the film translation. I was confused about the separate project that they were doing. Okay, okay. Uh, sorry. And actually,
The
yeah,
production team was dominantly Americans, so it was necessary.
yes, okay, yeah. Um, and okay, we're going to jump onto another thing here. So yeah, you mentioned earlier there's loads of farms. There's 10,000 they reckon, and between
Probably more. I think it's more.
yeah, they're the ones they know about. Yeah, and 10,000. Sorry, 1 million, no, 1.5 million to 2 million dogs potentially slaughtered every year. That's just astounding, that fact. Um, and when I asked you earlier about the trauma, whether it was traumatizing for you, because they were showing clips where it was skin disease, missing ears from the fighting, from the infighting of the dogs, and eating garbage waste.
Oh
That,
yeah.
and then even someone in it jokes. They said, "Oh, in North Korea, hotels, this would be hotel food," which is I thought was a bit insane.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. But yeah, jumping to from Tammy to Tori, sorry, Tori, what Moon Jae-in. He adopted a dog called Tori
Mhm.
at some point, and I was trying to work out when it featured in a documentary. And the reason I'm asking this is because although the ban has now been passed, do you think did it actually get instigated while he was in office, or was it
Oh,
you?
you're referring to the Guardian article, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, in the film it's mentioning Moon Jae-in adopts the dog near the end,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
but then yes, the Guardian article talks about Yoon. Um, he's not, maybe as popular as Moon Jae-in, but he's very passionate about dogs. But I wondered if he's just finishing ticking the boxes, but actually Moon Jae-in maybe started the ball rolling. I don't know. I don't know
Um,
any more about that. Or
I
it's,
I think in my opinion, like I don't know how to put this, but as the movie states that at the end of the movie, like the head of CARE, the activist group, Park So-yeon, is now under like what do you call it, investigation due to illegal stuff.
mm,
And the problem with like there's a like Moon Jae-in's case for with Tory. I'm glad that the president at that President Moon adopted a dog that is like suffering. But however, it was quite a political move, to be honest, because CARE was like the one of the big three activist groups, I would say, in Korea, and CARE is like one of the loudest ones per se. And they were very heavily publicizing the fact that they brought this dog to Moon Jae-in and Moon Jae-in adopted from CARE. And for me, I think like that could have, opened people's eyes for sure, but I wouldn't say it was like super important in terms of people opening their eyes in terms of dog meat because, you know, whoever it was interested in dog meat would always be interested
yeah,
in those kind of news. Whoever wasn't didn't really care so much. You know what I mean? So the reason why that I pointed out on the Guardian article that, Yoon signing on to this ban, I thought it was very interesting in my perspective because, in the activist groups, they kind of needed that because, whenever they try to press to the like the congressman, like very few would agree on them, you know what I mean? Because it's such a gray zone. And they didn't want to touch it because it's a thing that if you touch it, then you'll lose your voters right away. So it was a very like a vague gray area zone who nobody wanted touched it. Just probably like 10
mm,
congressmen, I guess, less than 10. But it was really interesting when Yoon and Kim Gon-hee got involved and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna, go ban this," and like it changed really rapidly. like the narrative changed so fast. I think people are like even in the activist groups, they were scratching their heads, you know what I mean, for like a couple like solid 3 days. Is this true? You know what I mean? Like they saw it on the news,
Mm.
but the news can lie sometimes. So they didn't believe for a hard 2, 3 days, and it's quite, interesting that it can shift like that. And now, like as the Guardian points out, that like most of the congressmen are like, yeah, we agree on it. It's so weird, you know what I mean? So like regarding your question about Tory
Yeah.
and Moon Jae-in, I don't think it like was a huge impact, but it would have, opened people's eyes, but whoever hated Moon Jae-in hated it anyway, so
Yeah. I just wondered in the background whether they said, right, we're going to do this because it takes years to something to go through. But
yeah,
you must have done it really quickly because he's not been
I
in
think
power
so.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I wondered. Um, and I know that you've just reminded me as well that in the documentary they'd say that Korea is such an advanced place, but I know from my knowings of Korea, it's not advancing everything. There's lots of social issues, let's say, and so when I hear of something like you said, the leader of care or the woman in to do with care, there's something corrupt going on. I thought, well, there you go. See that, that's another example of I'm not painting Korea as a bad place. I love Korea, as you know, but it's just, people do think of Korea as an advanced place, but behind the scenes, it's not. And the hierarchy's still there in society, that kind of stuff. Um,
Yes.
and one thing, Hmm. And one thing that kind of justifies it more about eating dog is not only the fact that it was the only thing available, or one of the only things available, is there's a really good clip in that film where it shows the imagery of Western people getting a chicken out of the oven, uh,
Mm.
turkey, I don't know what it was, and that's our thing. That's our thing. And Korea's was a dog. It's no different. It's just a different tradition
Yeah.
uh, of what you had around. And actually, this relates to Deejay a bit.
Mm.
Don't leave him out of this. But I've got other things about Deejay. But um, so dogs were seen as livestock before
Mm.
until later. I think it was say that I read that it was the late 70s. They became more of like, oh, you can have it as a pet.
Mm.
I don't know if that was in the film. Yeah, I think it was. No concept of a dog as a pet.
Mm.
And so I wondered when we're jumping around a bit here, but when you've never had a pet and you
Mm.
didn't have any desire to have a pet,
Mm.
and when you decided to have DJ as a pet, I wondered if it's because obviously it's a personal thing, and between you and Toby and having it in your house, and obviously it's a big commitment. But also, I wondered if it was this pet thing because Korea is only in the last few years really having pets a lot. So I wonder if that was an issue because you didn't even know what it's like to have a pet. I'm not painting you as in the dark ages. I'm just
Mm.
saying, did that come into it when you thought about whether you could be responsible for the dog? Did it come into play that, oh, what's it like to have a pet anyway?
Oh.
No.
Uh, well, I think for us, like for me especially, like when I was at Wonju farm,
Mm.
um, our one of the, leaders in this, you know, tearing down dog meat farms is Lola. Her name is Lola, and she's not only works for HSI but also has her own organization called Change for Animal Foundation. And she's like one of the pioneers of like trying to tear down, like demolish dog meat farms in Korea. And Adam and Lola was the first people that I ever met during this, process. And she always, I really liked HSI's approach to farmers because it was not hostile at all. They would want to listen to the farmers, like what their situation is, how they can cooperate, like what's the best outcome, and like how they can transition into something else than dog meat or any other livestock meat. industry at all. And they were very like cautious and careful of their like the farmers' feelings, and I kind of like admired that so much because later on I figured out that a lot of activist groups don't behave that way at all. It's like kind of like a they have this really, I don't like that tactic, but they have this kind of like a backstabbing tactic which they use is like almost like they would, report on this farm, like this particular farm, if they want to tear it down, they would report to the police or like the government, like local government, like all the time, and they were like complaints, put on all the complaints, and then they would come to the farmer, see you have this many complaints. You know what I mean? Like you should tear it down. I don't think I
That's
mean, I understand why they do it, but I would much prefer HSI's approach.
yeah.
Yeah, whenever they like HSI and then this farm have an agreement, Lola as a person, she's very, very like passionate into saving, animals, and she would always ask the farmer, "Would you give a dog to me right now?" You know what I mean? Like I thought that was so endearing. Like it's just almost like, asking out of sincerity. And I think the farmers always, even though they're completely different races, they don't understand the language whatsoever, but they can see in her eyes of her sincerity. So they would always, like, I almost always like offer a dog. You know what I mean? Like, I thought that was so cool. And in Wonju particularly, the farmer offered this little white Labrador. And usually because a lot of dogs are Tosa dogs. It's like they're very, very cute when they're small, but they would go up to like 60, 70 kilograms and they would drool all the time. They're super, super sweet, but it's like kind of one of the dangerous dogs that to like almost like a bigger pit bull in Korea. So it was really Lola will always ask me, when she get a puppy or something, would you like to have this puppy? And I say always no because it's always a Tosa. But for some reason that Wonju farmer gave her the white Labrador was just like almost this size, very, very small, like trembling. Like, and I was like, I think I fell in love with it like right away. And
Oh,
I asked Toby, are we able to do this? And he saw the photo and he was like,
yeah.
let's try this. Even though we'd never had any experience whatsoever, we were like, because, most of the dogs that are rescued will eventually go to America or Canada or European region, and this dog will stay in Korea. So we were like, let's give it a shot.
No, okay. I'm sorry, just my ignorance probably, but dosa. What is it? Tosa?
Oh,
Tosa? I'm not.
Tosa is like a mixed breed. I think it
Oh, okay.
originated in Japan, and it's almost like a bigger pit bull. But it used to, I think Tosa dogs are kind of known for like fighting dogs. And they're really big and really it can be very aggressive, but in my experience, like working with HSI, I noticed that Tosas are like the sweetest dogs ever if you grow them well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nurture them or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and then so that reminds me as well. When I've been in Korea, you've got pet shops. You've got
Mm,
them, and we have pet shops in the UK, but we don't tend to have dogs in pet shops. It's
mm, well, that's really smart.
well, I'm trying to think now. Now I made myself thinking. Am I, is that right? But usually you get like tortoises, lizards, fish, those kind
Mm,
of things. But pets are, there's always we don't have wild, but here in Thailand there's wild dogs, but we don't have wild dogs in the UK. But we, not that I can think of anyway. And I'm just saying, when I go past shops in Korea and you see them, first of all, they're in those little pens and glass windows, and it might be hot, and I always feel sorry for them. But then there's the issue of the breeding because
mm,
people want these cute dogs, and I don't know what goes on behind the scenes. There's a small bit mentioned in the film about purebreds and all
yeah.
that. But I often think, pet in some ways, the way that pets are sold is a cruelty in another way,
True.
because I don't know if they should be kept in those shops, wanting to get out that window. And uh,
Mm.
yeah, they're not in cages, but
Mm.
they are in, I guess, in some sort of cage. Anyway,
Yeah.
just something I thought about that, and also a tiny thing that was mentioned in the film, and I've kind of heard something about before, is cat meat. Now, I know
Oh,
it wasn't, is that even a thing? Because there was people with signs saying dog and cat meat. Or do you know? Or never?
I have no knowledge about cat meat, to be
Uh,
honest. Yeah.
it
And
was, mm,
yeah, I don't think people are aware as well. Regarding the shops,
yeah,
like it was, shortly would have mentioned in the movie, but you know, shops they usually have really, they're not even 3 weeks old.
okay,
Yeah, so it's very cruel in my opinion because they still need their moms,
yeah,
but like they eat like because it sells better. Like I don't know, and it's true. It's very dark in the trading business because even for the like the most aggressive activist groups who want to nail this, they really have a hard time finding where the auction happens or where the trading happens and like the trading and the transportation. These people are very on the down low. And I believe it's a I don't it's very secretive. And compared to the farmers, I think the farmers are more humane in a way, you know what I mean? Like it's really, really weird because like
yeah,
the traders and the auctioneers, they only care about money.
yeah.
But, you know, I mean everybody is, but
Especially when, yeah, pet shops and traders, whatever you want to class, well, whichever level it's at,
But what I'm trying to say is that whoever has, the less information out there, like whoever is the most secretive, might be the most darkest. And I'm just pointing out that the traders and the transporters are probably those people,
yeah,
at least other sides of the as you can see on the documentary, even like not only farmers but shop owners or like meat place owner like a butcher shop, they are all willing to do the interview except those people.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
unusual. I was surprised how some of those farmers were very open about loads of
Yeah.
stuff, about how they're fed. Oh, they're treated very well. And I was really surprised because I thought there must be something they're doing wrong. Uh, because you can't be that nice and then you kill them. I don't know. It's sorry, they get killed for meat. It didn't
But
seem,
for my own experience, like I didn't feel any. I mean, I understand it's the business and people can be sociopaths and stuff like that, but I didn't feel that they were too inhumane. You know what I mean? They it was interesting to see like most of the farmers or the butcher shop owners or whatever, these people have their own dogs. Like I thought that was so interesting. Wherever I go, like a farm, like a dog meat farm, they have their own dog inside
yeah,
their house. And usually they're very small and cute dogs. So
yeah.
like it's very like I can't wrap my head around it, but still it means that they have some sort of humanity inside of them.
Yeah, that's very true. They know what's right or wrong because they've got this dog and they'll treat it
Yeah,
beautifully.
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
because,
They
yeah,
always claim that they love dogs so much, which is another weird
yeah,
stuff. But like at least, I could see humanity in them. But like whoever is hiding behind the curtains, especially the auctioneers and the traders and those people who we cannot, approach at all, I think those are the most horrible people, I think.
yeah. And that's made me think of the scene where you see the dogs, live dogs, being lifted off lorries and vans. And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was trying to figure out which stage that was at. They weren't going straight to a shop. There was a middleman,
Mm.
something. But again, it was just seeing them there. They're not even alive. They're not dead. They still know what's going on, and they're just getting transported around. Um, I don't know. I wasn't expecting that. I thought they'd be slaughtered before they moved. I guess it's meat's got to be fresh and
Yeah, yeah.
that side of things.
Mhm.
Um, and also going back to what you said about pets in shops and the youngness, I can't always tell because sometimes they're a small dog. I don't know if that's a fully grown dog or a puppy. I'm not very, like I might see them bopping around in the shop. I might think they're 2 years old, but no, they're 3 months or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not even 3 months. They're most of them like because I have other friends in other businesses like they're like dog trimming businesses. I have other friends over there and they would always, talk about, they talk more about the shops rather than the farms. So whenever I get like information from them, they would say like it goes, less than 3 weeks. And that I feel like that's super horrible. Because at the other side of that is this mom dog who is like exhausted, keep breeding and breeding and breeding, and they get horribly treated, just
Yeah.
pumping out babies, and then when they're done, they go straight to the meat farm. So
Yeah. Well, it's a bit like cows as well in some ways because they have to keep giving birth, and the calves get killed, and
exactly.
get keep. But that's another thing. And yeah, I just thought Korea has got a load of grooming pet shops, more than we've got anything like that in the UK. But again, I do excuse Korea of these kind of things because it's a relatively new thing. Pet
Mhm.
owning,
True.
Korea jumps on trends like nowhere else.
Well, yeah, for sure.
That's what I think. And it's so just to going forwards, I mean, I know you're not in charge of all this, but what do you think that they will this do you think this will help in banning it in other countries? Do you think this will do anything elsewhere or just
Um,
mm,
I'm not sure. Because like every country has different issues. And I mean it can affect, but I wouldn't say it would be a direct effect.
yeah, yeah, it would have to be and probably be a small country like China. It's too large to even
Yeah,
touch.
it's so different from like even with the dog meat business
Yeah,
itself.
yeah.
Within Asia it's spread out, but like every country has their own different issues.
Yeah, it's not just there and there. I know. I just don't know all the countries. In fact, that was one things I was going to ask you actually was, do we know which other countries do have dog meat? Apart from China, Japan has a few.
Um,
Maybe here, here. I don't really know. It's got to be.
I think so.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure though.
You probably
But
want, yeah,
I would say that, I don't know if our ban will affect any country, but I think, other influence has made us ban, you know.
mm,
So like it's like I think the narrative changed quickly, not only because of Yoon and Kim Gun-hee, but also, we are seem to be a really high-ranked country these days, not only because like K-pop and stuff, but also like economy-wise, I believe we're, really high up there. And that kind of like global effect that Korea has
yeah.
makes double like question like should we go on with this? And I think that's the reason why it changed so quickly.
Mm. Well,
Because
I spent 3 hours talking to a Korean woman yesterday, day before, and we were just talking about Korean stuff. And then today I go and buy some chewing gum, and it's Lotte. There's loads of Lotte. I'm just saying that Korea is becoming not just Samsung, there's Samsung here as well, and it's just everywhere. But I wonder if how they're going to enforce it. The ban, they could ban every farm, but there's even in the film they say they can't even some of the farms exist in mountains and they're not going to go and they can't even police them, let alone ban them. So I don't know how that's going to physically.
well,
Do you
I'm
think?
not I'm not 100% sure with that aspect as well, but
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure now that it's like they have a 3-year grace period and then they're gonna ban fully, which means that it's like gonna be illegal very, very soon. So I'm guessing that the government would try to like cooperate in terms of like transitioning the farmers into doing something else, other businesses.
Mm,
But I'm pretty sure there's a huge backlash even now. from the Dog Meat Association people and any other who is like involved in this money train. But and I honestly don't think it'll, there will be zero dog meat farms within the 3-year grace period. I don't think that's gonna happen, to be honest, but being legal and illegal is a huge difference. And even they would, like, people from the Dog Meat Association, they would feel very, what do you call it? Very claustrophobic because, it's the pressure is all from every other angle to them.
Yeah.
So
There's
they
always,
and not only that, while I was working for HSI, I think a lot of farmers wanted out, to be honest, because it they go into this business because they think they don't have a choice and they think that this would earn them a lot of money. That's the main two reasons why they do this in the first place. So, like, if they think that this is not profitable anymore, and if they think it's such a hassle to go through everything, then probably they would want to drop it. You know what I mean? So like
yeah.
it will be, gradually, going down, but I'm not sure it'll be like 100% off.
There'll be a black market,
Yeah,
e-
yeah, yeah.
even in 4 years' time, 5 years' time.
Yeah.
And also, but surely the supermarket, the sit down, the restaurants will have to. They can't be there if it's.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But there might,
Exactly.
but there might be a small town that they don't capture. There's loads of small villages in Korea, towns that might still have one, or Jeju.
But but what makes it illegal is that someone can report on them. You know what I mean? Like it gets more easier. Like if you go to a restaurant and see some illegal stuff going on, then you can that's like reporting restaurants are illegal now. It will be legal. So it's gonna change. At least, in my opinion, a lot of restaurants would want to change because they just don't want to go with the hassle.
And sorry, I know we've been an hour now, but I've still got a few more, but not too many. That's all right with you.
No,
Um,
no.
okay, cool. But I touched on Boknal, and I know it's a big traditional thing. So that is really important to some Koreans, the older ones especially. And I wonder again, if you ban all that, what is that? Those, you know, um, how are they going to be traditional anymore if they take out the dog meeting aspect of it? I wonder.
Um,
I don't know enough about those summer days, those dog days.
yeah, I don't know what they would do. Maybe they would want to cook their own. I don't know.
Oh my God.
Oh
Yeah.
God.
Tell everyone they've got a pet, and then suddenly it's when after summer, what happened to your pet? Oh, we lost him. They actually cooked him.
I'm honestly interested in that too. Like I want to know what happens.
Yeah, it's something that's okay. Another thing, which because you mentioned care, I've mentioned care, CARE, and for any listeners out there, and HSI, HSA, whatever. So is it HSA or HSI? I'm confused.
It's HSI, but the
Okay.
Humane Society is from America. And they
Yes.
have all these like branches like HS Canada, HS UK, but like the international division is HSI,
Yeah. Okay.
HS International. And for Korea branch is HSI Korea. So it's a little bit like
Yeah, because also in your recent social media posts, you put the dove, which I also know that was mentioned in the film. But again, to people that are listening, I will put all these links, in the description. But I'm just thinking DOVE, how they're linked to, they're separate to HSA.
oh they're different
Yeah,
organizations.
yeah. It's just, I mean, I can put a description anyway. I can figure that out myself. But there was one thing in the film as well. Just remembered and just spotted on my notes actually. The best argument for not eating dog meat was the E. coli bacteria that can be found in dogs and certain dogs. And with other meats, that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So that's a straightforward. If you want one reason, that's it. You can still eat beef, you can still eat pork, but why would you want to eat something that's, uh,
Hmm.
it's dogs?
True. True.
So I don't know. And I've just got some sort of let's just skip to these last sort of a bit more lighter questions, maybe. Um, so, as busy musicians and touring ones at times, you tour and you do a hell of a lot of other stuff. Um, how do you manage this with DJ? Uh,
Mm.
Obviously, it must be emotional to let him go while you go away. But where do you put him? Is he in? Have you got friends who looked after him? Brave
It
enough?
depends. Sometimes we let our friends take him, but sometimes Toby's mother lives not far away, so she would, walk DJ around and just take care of him. Um, it's really hard to find a nice hotel for a big dog in Korea because at right at this moment, and even though like companion animals are everywhere, there's some sort of weird perception about big animals, I think. And even though it's changing a lot, like even for me, like when I first tried to adopt DJ, um, he's gonna grow at least 30 kilos, right? So in my mind, I was like, how do I have a small place, like I have a like small studio, like how am I gonna, grow
Oh,
like have a place for this who's like a dog that's going to be much more bigger, but there's this real perception about that in Korea still now that you're not you know you're not giving most happiness to the dog if the dog only has little limited amount of square space for big dogs especially. So like even now in Korea people you they would the most popular dogs in Korea are Pomeranian or Chihuahua or very, very small dogs,
well, that's what
And
I wondered when I see these pet shops. I first of all, I straight away think, what happens to all the big ones? Putting the dog meat aside,
exactly. I mean, they're not popular at all. I mean, um,
and
for
yeah,
for us, like because DJ is like even though he's a Labrador, he's very like he's kind of like slimmer
yeah,
Labrador compared to others. Like he's like very like he doesn't go over 30 kilos and he's very slim. And he looks so sad all the time. But for some reason, because he's big, like from afar away, like these like people, like older people would harass me sometimes, like why don't you have a like a muzzle or something,
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
just
And
yeah, just
I
yeah,
I pretend I didn't hear that.
yeah,
But it's hard because of that perception and because of that there's not enough hotels like dog hotels around that I can trust and
yeah.
because there are a lot of dog hotels for smaller dogs for sure. There are many ways to keep your dog when you're going on a vacation or something like that. But big dogs, no. Like there are like I tried to find one that is legitimate, but like I think there's one in Gyeonggi-do area, which I need to drive
Wow.
like 2 hours. Like I don't know. So I would rather, prefer
But there's a lot of
someone who
yeah, there's a lot of international people that I've met traveling and in other
Mm.
countries that are doing house sitting, which is often another word for dog sitting. You know, so there's like also
I
that.
need to find those. Yeah, I need to find those people.
If you trust them in your home or your studio, that's the thing. But I'm sure you would. It's just, yeah, that. And we've got kennels in the UK. You know, people again, they're not cheap.
Yeah.
And we do have people in the UK. We've got people that walk your dog for you and those
Mm.
kind of things. As far as I know, I'm not. Yeah, I don't have a dog, but that just reminded me as well, because even when they say to you, put a muzzle on it or something, I can imagine you just retaliating with, go DJ, go. And he's just like, "Rrr." Like, you want to, he's not a vicious dog. And in fact,
Yeah,
he's like,
not at all.
he's like Santa's little helper in The Simpsons, you know, like really sort of soppy, But that also reminded me of the end of the one towards the end of that documentary. It was weird because when they paid off that farmer and the dogs, it was almost sad that they didn't want to they didn't want to move because they thought they were going to get killed, and also
Oh, yeah.
and they're being put into another cage, which is a nice, clean one, rescue. But it was
Hmm.
a very emotional time because that man, he was making light of it. He said, "Oh, well, I can't even open up another farm again." And they went, "No, you can't." And he went, "Oh, I guess I can't, can I?" It's like, "Oh, I have to?" Yes. But what I'm saying is just seeing those dogs struggling to the last minute not to be moved because their fear is they've probably seen other dogs just go and not come back. So it was a bit of a weird, it was an uplifting ending in that side of things. And this was, of course, way before the ban, but it was just as emotional as seeing them being killed because they really didn't want to leave there. Yeah, for me anyway. Um, so yeah, so Deejay, as you said in that Humane Society video as well, he has no taste in music and no desire to be. So
That is so true, sadly.
he's not he's not going to be that dog DJ that you imagined him to be.
No, no.
Yeah. Oh, bless. And of course, the obvious question is, how has he changed your life? I
Oh,
mean, in too many ways, but I mean, most, you wouldn't have had a. You've had him now almost, I don't know, 8 or 9 years, but your life must have been different. Your routine in the morning. I mean,
um,
is it?
I think
Yeah.
I think when I didn't notice this, but like having a huge dog could be such a mental comfort. Like, when you're going through a hard time, just, just try to, touch DJ is enough. You know what I mean? Like that, just looking that sad eye and you just, smile again. I think, that's the biggest, gift that DJ gave to me. Like it's just that constant happiness
Yeah.
is that's oozing out of him. And
Yeah.
I definitely do have more knowledge in terms of like, having a companion dog because back then I didn't know anything like how to, keep a dog, how to walk them or like, there are very weird stuff out there too, like, weird recommendations. Just I've seen some weird articles of like they didn't like the dog barking too much, so they would just take out their vocal cords. I thought that was so cruel, but you know, but I noticed that, big dogs usually don't bark that much,
Is
rather than
that,
smaller. Yeah, because smaller dogs are like, they're scared a lot.
that
So they're just barking their territory. But like DJ never barks. Like maybe if someone like the delivery guy is coming, then you would just like, "Ooh," and then that's it. Like never
yeah.
barks. He never wants to pee inside, so I need to take him out, which gives me a good, nice routine to walk as well. Like it's just like a much more healthier lifestyle and like a such a huge comfort and love from DJ that I feel all the time. So I
Yeah.
think that's the biggest difference, I think.
Yeah, well, yeah, I was just thinking, yeah, it's not like a teddy bear or something covered when you, it's actually responding to you, he's actually,
Yeah.
I wonder, when you said about the vocal cords thing, I know that's just one example. Was that in Korea or elsewhere?
Korea.
Yeah.
Apparently it's quite normal.
I
It's,
wonder if
I mean,
that,
it's
yeah, sorry.
horrible. Like, I think people, like, there are articles coming out that, these procedures happen, but oh my God, like, why would you do that?
Well, do you think it's also a saving face thing where in Korea society it means a lot, the way things, you've got a dog that barks a lot or something, and everybody looks
Mm,
frowned,
maybe,
frowned upon. People,
maybe. And also,
yeah.
even like, stray dogs as well. There are a lot of stray dogs every year. And usually, I think the perception is changing for sure because there are a lot of like great programs on like broadcasts and like like YouTube channels which we can learn from like from the dog trainers and stuff like that. But if you're ignorant and you just want a cute dog, then you go to shop and just, get the three week old dog and then just grow them to like when they're like 1 year old and they just throw them away. That's quite common, to be honest. And those dogs end up to a dog meat farm and then end up to dog meat restaurants. So we still have a long way to go.
Yeah, yeah. Well, hopefully this will do something. It's good anyway, isn't it? And a light-hearted question maybe. There's a dog meat song in that film.
Oh yeah.
I was, and it actually, I shouldn't laugh, but it is funny because the words actually make sense. You know, you eat chicken, we eat dog, or something like that. But I thought, I thought, is Love Exterior gonna do an anti-dog meat song?
I
No,
don't know.
not, not so seriously. But I wonder if you are gonna write a song that does touch on this. But that's your own,
Um, I
guess.
mean, maybe if it comes naturally,
Inspiration.
maybe.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, well, I could ask loads of questions because it's a deep topic, and but you're not the government, you're not authority enough, but you've got a hell of a lot of knowledge, you've done a lot of stuff. And again, we met in 2013. So it wasn't long after that that you went down that road to
Yeah, yeah.
and then I thought and then I kept thinking, because I kept reading 2015 or 2019, the video was, I thought, I'm sure they've had DJ on their social media more than 4 years, because I kept thinking, like, he's been a part of Love Exterior almost ever since I've known Love Exterior. So it's amazing how time, how it passes. But yeah, and we back in 2013, just sort of, well, on the record, I don't mind people know this, but we recorded an interview
Mm,
which I didn't put into a project, but it'd be great at some point if you want to return to the Not So Korean podcast to do a music related um,
sure,
interview because it's long overdue, but entirely up to you. You guys
sure.
you're doing new music, aren't you, as well? Because I saw something on Instagram.
Mm,
Yeah, no,
yeah.
that's good. Yeah. All right. Well, if there's anything else, is there anything you want to say about this whole? I mean, you were obviously elated when it was announced, and did you
Mhm.
have insider information? Obviously, those people you connect with the HSI, they must have. It wasn't a newspaper you found that out from, was it? You must have found it out from another source as well, because you've got
No,
connect.
I found out from a newspaper too.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
and everyone was like, "Is this real?" Like,
yeah.
because press can always shift their narrative, I guess. But like, because even though it was true, but like it was kind of like, couldn't believe it kind of thing.
Yeah, no, that's really good. Well, I'm really proud of what you guys have done. I haven't been anything involved with that, but I'm just, you're involved with other things to do with women's rights and other animal related things, and it's really good. So, and yeah, and obviously you help out people with your studio and collaboration, so it's brilliant. Say hi to Toby and DJ, but he'll just lay there because he doesn't know who I am.
I
So
think I think people can come in.
have you got him?
Do you see him?
Oh, look. Yeah, he doesn't care, but yes. Oh, that's really cool.
That's DJ.
Yeah. Hello, DJ. Hello, DJ. Do you know your name? So
Okay.
what? And just I guess just kind of off the record, I'll put it in later. But DJ, you just chose it DEEJ. You could have just
Mhm.
said DJ dot, but you just thought it's
That seems too much. Like I just wanted a name.
yeah, it's good. Yeah, it's better than like mixing deck. I don't think that would work. Or amplifier. Yeah.
He
Okay.
wants to go up.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's getting late where you are, and it's getting that way where I am. It's 2 hours different. So brilliant seeing you, and we'll catch up soon. Hoping to be back in Korea this year again.
Okay.
So, all right. Bye bye. Woof woof.
Bye.
See ya. Well, we hope you enjoyed that episode. So that's all from us. Nureongi, geseo. The original version of this video was uploaded to Jason Verney's YouTube channel, where it and many other videos, podcasts, snippets and films can be found. That channel can be found at youtube.com/Jason Verney.